Justin Fields is set to get his first NFL start on Sunday. Can the rookie quarterback and hope for the future of the franchise live up to the hype and high expectations against the Cleveland Browns? Joining us now to give us his take, James Big Cat Williams, former offensive lineman for the Chicago Bears from 1991 to 2002. Welcome back, James. So, as we discussed earlier in the program, there is talk, at least, of the possibility of the Bears moving out of Soldier Field to Arlington Heights. Could you ever imagine a Bears game that is not played at Soldier Field, a home game that's not Soldier Field?
I couldn't imagine it, but I'm also one of the people that had an opportunity to play in Champaign when they were redoing the older stadium, which is now the newer stadium. I feel like it being in the heart of Chicago by the waterfront is a staple. I understand why people would want to move as far as being able to get a newer facility, a more modernized facility, but I feel like part of the allure and part of the attraction of Soldier Field is where it's located and, you know, the crazy weather that you can get from being down there.
Yeah, we all know it well. Okay, so to the game. Justin Fields set for his first NFL start with Andy Dalton sidelined with that knee injury. What did you make of Fields' performance against the Bengals after he came in for Dalton?
He looked like a rookie. You know, one of the hard things for a young quarterback is that during the week, if you're not the starter, you don't get a lot of the reps. So during the week leading up to the Bengals, everything was, circled around Andy Dalton. He got 90 to 95% of the reps. Fields comes in and he does a couple, maybe one or two plays at the end of every period just to keep just to get his feet wet, but nothing is actually put in for Fields. So coming in last week and running what they were asking Andy to run all game and what they had put in for what Andy is good at made it a little difficult on Fields. So, we're hoping this week that, we see them change it around a little bit and make it a little more Fields friendly.
Now, Dalton is expected to be sidelined for at least a couple of weeks, but Matt Nagy has already said that Dalton will be the starter when he is healthy. Do you think Nagy's mind is made up on that, or could he be swayed if Fields plays lights out in the next couple of games?
Well, I think his mind is made up until Fields balls out, like you said. Fields comes out and throws for 250, 300 yards, scores a couple touchdowns. As a young guy, he's going to make some mistakes, so there might be an interception in there. There might be a fumble in there. But I think as long as they feel as though the things that he did consistently were good and can help the team moving forward, we'll see him in there for the long haul.
Okay, so the Bears, they were up 2 scores with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but then they conceded 2 touchdowns. Was the defense just being undisciplined in that game?
No, I don't think it was undisciplined, but sometimes the tides of the game change. Defensively, we saw a lot more upbeat defensive unit than we had seen week 1 versus the Rams. And, they seemed to clean up a lot of things. They played with a lot more attitude. You saw guys running to the ball, piling on the piles. You saw a couple things that you wouldn't have liked to seen, a couple penalties as far as the late hit, the taunting call, almost one on Akeem Hicks for hitting the quarterback late. But these are things that occasionally a defense will do when they're playing well, just to let the opposition know that, hey, we're here and we're here all day. So I think there are things that can be cleaned up, but, they have to stay on their P's and Q's.
All right, so what do you think about this Bears matchup against the Browns? What do they have to do to win?
Well, I think the interesting part is going to be that Cleveland's offense is going to be similar to what we want to see the Chicago Bear offense look like. They're going to be heavy versus the run, and they're going to run a lot of play action off of that run. I'd like to see the Bears do the same thing. Lean on David Montgomery. He's a hard running back. He gets a lot accomplished. the first guy through the line of scrimmage is not going to tackle him 90% of the time. And Fields will be able to run play action and read option, the quick game out off of that. So it'll be interesting to see what Nagy puts together. If he's able to, let's say, dumb it down a little bit, not so much dumb it down, but give Justin things that are easy for him, only allowing him to read one half of the field and not the other, being on the move and getting outside of the pocket. So if they can do those things, I think they stand a chance.
All right, keep it simple. So big prediction. Let me hear it.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go Cleveland 20-20, Bears 17. I just think that Cleveland has an opportunity with that defense that they're going to put out on the field to confuse Fields a few times. And if they're able to do that, that could sway the game one way or the other. But we'll get an opportunity to see him and see how good he is.
All right, we'll see what Bears fans think of that. Big Cat, thanks as always for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Brandis. Have a good one.